Are you tired of being micromanaged in the Firehouse? Like, you know what you're supposed to do, but there's always somebody on your back or telling you how things should be done? Well, you're not alone. Today's video on communication topics will be about how to deal with micromanagers. Now, I did a video on delegation, so this one will be quite the opposite. And micromanagement is another one of those issues that falls into the leadership category. And what's interesting about it is that most of the time, it's not actually ego, as much as it may seem like it is. Now, I'm going to go over why it happens, how to cut down on it if you're a micromanager, and how you can stop people from doing it to you. Before I jump into it, be sure to subscribe to our channel for more videos like this, and give us a follow on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Firehouse Podcast. Let's get into why people micromanage. The truth is, some people are born perfectionists, meaning everything they do has to be perfect or they legit won't be able to sleep. And some people have it worse than others. The other side to this is middle management, being the leader of a team with superior officers above you that want answers. And this creates a sort of anxiety that your team needs to be performing their best and you need to be on top of everything at all times to make sure that happens. Now, another reason people micromanage is because they've either built something from scratch that they know works, or they've inherited a mess of an organization and have turned it completely around. So when it's time for them to start letting go of certain positions for other people to handle, it's the fear of it not being up to their standards that causes panic. Now, the problem with all this is that when a high performer is stressed out about a particular task or project, they tend to be a little overbearing on their subordinates, which in turn creates tension. And the more this goes on, the worse the culture gets within an organization. Now, another part of this problem are the victims of micromanagers, people that take offense to being checked on or told they're not doing something right. They instantly get annoyed or put their guard up without realizing that it actually makes things worse. So with this in mind, I'll now explain to the micromanagers how to let things go, and later in the video, I'll explain how to stop being micromanaged. Letting people do their jobs. I'm going to be blunt here. If you have to micromanage people because you need everything to be perfect, then you haven't done a good enough job at coaching. You see, good leaders give their teams the proper resources and communication to effectively perform a task. And this takes time to do up front, but it saves you time in the long run. And this goes back to the video I did on delegation. You can't be everywhere at the same time. Whether you have a team of 5 people or 100 people, you need to get a good grasp on their strengths and weaknesses. If you need something done, you don't just assign a task to any random person, you assign a task to the person that you trust with doing it properly. But if you never take the time to communicate with your team, you'll never know who that person is. Now, you might think, I have a million things going on right now. I don't have time to be coaching people how to do their jobs, blah, blah, blah. If that's what you're thinking, I have 2 questions for you. Are you not cut out for this? Or are you just stressed because you failed to coach your team? Really think about it. Now, what I mean by resources is, do they have the right tools to perform the job? Do they have something they can reference if they're stuck? And then when it comes to communication, have you explained to them in detail how something needs to be done and the reason why? And if they come to you with a question, have you explained it better without being aggressive? These are all things to consider. Now, if you're still not understanding this, let me give you a super simple example. So say every time you make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, it comes out perfect, and everyone comes to you for them. Now, one day, you have 100 orders for sandwiches, and you need help making them, so you get some people to help you. Now, when you're looking over at the person next to you that's making the sandwich, you see that they're putting peanut butter on the top. The way you make sandwiches is with the peanut butter on the bottom. And you're so focused on your task that out of frustration, you angrily tell that person they need to do it the other way. And then you immediately get back to what you're doing. Now, the other person is upset because you yelled at them for a simple mistake. In their minds, they're thinking, why does it matter? It's a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. It's literally 2 ingredients. Now, again, that's a super simple example. But allow me to explain what happens when you communicate things to your subordinates so they understand why it needs to be done that way. So back to this PB&J example here. You get a bunch of people to help make these sandwiches, and you explain to them that the peanut butter always goes on the bottom. Why? Because that way, when someone takes a bite, it doesn't get stuck to the roof of their mouth. So one employee raises their hand and says, can't people just flip the sandwich upside down? Now, without snapping at them, you simply explain to them that yes, technically they can. But the way you package the sandwiches is so when people open the wrapping with the logo on the top, they can take a bite as is without worrying about peanut butter on the roof of their mouth. I know you might be looking at me like I have 10 heads. Is this guy serious about peanut butter and jelly sandwiches? I get it. But you should get it too. It's not the story, it's the principle. Another quick example in terms of firefighting would be why we spin the hose clockwise instead of counterclockwise. If we don't explain to our firefighters why we do it clockwise, then in the heat of the moment, they may do it the opposite way, thinking it has the same effect. Communication up front will make less problems down the road. Now let's talk about how to stop being micromanaged. And I'm sure this is the part you've been waiting for, how to get people off your back when you're trying to do your job. Now, in order to do this, we basically need to reverse engineer everything I just talked about. Are you actually doing it the right way, or are you doing it the way that you think is best? And this is where most of this conflict comes from. Let's dive into it. You ever heard the phrase, there's 100 ways to skin a cat? First off, terrible thing to say. I don't know who would do such a thing. But either way, it's true. There's a bunch of ways to complete a task. However, some ways are better than others. That doesn't mean that other people know that, though. So let's go back to the example with the fire hose. At its core, we know that water puts out fire, plain and simple. So say you're in a fire and you're aimlessly spraying water at it. It's working, but your officer comes up from behind you and grabs a nozzle from you and starts doing it their way. You'd probably be saying, like, what the hell? Every time I'm doing something, this guy takes over my job. And instead of finding out why, what do? You decide to complain to the other members that this guy's a micromanager and he never lets you do your job. And this is where the morale starts to decline and people will start to get fed up. And chances are, if they're doing it to you, they're doing it to everyone else. Now, the best thing to do is go find out why, but you have to approach it with curiosity rather than demanding answers. What I mean by that is when you go to this person, you have to show them that you're not hostile towards their behavior, but you're trying to understand it better. Something along the lines of, hey, I noticed every time I'm doing a task, you tend to step in and do it yourself. Am I doing something wrong? Now, usually this type of approach will put them at ease and they'll explain it to you. But if for some reason they come back with an attitude and tell you you're bad at it, you want to keep the same tone. Simply say, okay, can you show me how to do it then? I'd rather understand it than you having to stop what you're doing. Now, I know people might hate when I tell them to speak that way when they're being talked down to, but it's the difference between you dealing with this problem forever or getting on their good side. And trust me, you want to get on their good side. It doesn't matter how much you want to go back at them, I promise you it's not worth it. The other side of this is that you might actually have a better way of doing something. And this is another reason where bad communication will cause more problems. So if you tell a micromanager who's a perfectionist that the way you do things is better, it'll sound cocky to them. Anything you tell them will go in one ear and out the other, and they won't respect you for saying it like that. The first thing you do is ask them for their way of doing it, and then you explain to them your way of doing it. But after your explanation, you tell them you're cool with doing it the way that they prefer. And this isn't to suck up to them, this is to show them that you respect their way of doing things. The whole idea is to bring their guard down and ease tensions. So they might tell you to use a halogen to make a purchase point on a vehicle during extrication. So you agree to what they're saying and then explain to them, okay, gotcha. I usually put the tips of the spreader at an angle to get a better grip between the door jambs so that I don't have to use the halogen. But if you'd like me to do it that way, I have no problem with it. Do you see how that sounds? You don't come off like a jerk and you don't show them that you're not willing to do things their way. In some cases, they might say, I never thought about it that way, but that actually might work better. By using easy, non-confrontational communication, you can get people to understand that they don't need to micromanage, as long as you get the job done. And the same goes for micromanagers themselves. Clear, concise directions and communication will lead to the proper results you're looking for. That's all for this video. If you have any additional suggestions or other communication topics you'd like us to cover, you put them in the comments below, and I'll catch you on the next one.